Hello there. Hi everyone. This is Marina Shepelsky, U.S. immigration attorney and advocate for immigration rights. I'm just saying hello to some of my followers here. We're going to wait for some more people to join. We'll be talking about immigration news this week. We'll be talking about the updates to immigration laws, discussing our most common case types, including asylum, VAWA, the little loopholes that I know about, things like that. Um, Before I get into it, I just want to see where you guys from. Just drop a comment to tell me where you're watching from. It's really cool when I see where people are located and where they're watching from. And I'm also going to take a second here to connect to my Instagram comments so I can see your questions. If you do have an immigration question, please post it below in the comments and I will be happy to answer them. But nothing I say in this show is meant as legal advice. It's not legal advice. It's just information. It's educational stuff. Occasionally, I will say you have to do a consultation because some things are too specific or need more information, and they actually do need a consultation. All right, so let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna open the comments. Okay, I say hello from Anthony Bennett. Hello, good morning. Let's see. People are saying, hi from Kudo Adu on YouTube. Kwaku Anani says, good morning, Marina. Aina Gandhi says afternoon, and that her name is Aina. And I'm coming to you guys from New Jersey, but our office is in New York City. And we represent clients from all the 50 states for asylum, for violence against women, VAWA, men and women's cases, for, you know, anything complicated, denials of USCIS decisions, immigration courts, and so on. That's what we do. And I do the show to keep you informed on all the latest immigration news because it's important. If you're an immigrant, even if you're a US citizen already, it's important that you guys stay on top of immigration news so that you understand what's going on in this world right here. The biggest news this week was that the visa bulletin for September 23rd, 2023 came out. And they showed the latest waiting lists in different family and employment categories. And we didn't see much movement, sadly, on pretty much any category uh, except actually a little bit even push back on some categories. So if you're waiting for a family-based petition or employment petition, chances are your waiting times have not gotten less. They probably got longer. I don't know the reason for this. I know that we are nearing the end of the fiscal year, the financial year, and I guess they want to kind of, slow down on the issuing of the visas this year because they're so busy and they're so lagged. I don't know what to tell you, but if you'd like, you can take a look. Google current visa bulletin. to see if your relatives overseas, how long they have to wait, using the priority date, the filing date of your original I-130 or I-140 petition, to figure out where you are in the waiting game here. You're inside US, take a look at the adjustment status chart. And if you're watching me here on YouTube, I'm going to share my screen for you. So this way, if you want to know the dates in your category, easily go and check for yourself. So I'm about to share my screen here. Okay. So if you're watching me on YouTube or on Facebook, you will see on the screen this page called Adjustment of Status Filing Charge from the Visa Bulletin and the website for uscis.gov, the official USCIS. And then we look at what it says. It says is right now, and we're in August, current month's adjustment of status filing charge are dates for filing charge on the official bulletin. For employment-based filings, was the other chart called final action date chart in the Department of State Visa Bulletin for August. And then if you click on the link, it just has a separate page for the date you're looking at it to file. So, for example, right? If you're inside US, you're in status and you're married to a green card holder, you can file for your green card immediately. F2A category, spouses and children under 21 of green card holders. So yes, if you're inside US, you don't have to wait if you're a spouse of a green card holders. If you are outside of US, you do have to wait a few years, believe it or not. Inside US, you don't. If you are inside US and you are a single adult child of a US citizen, you cannot file unless your case was filed before September 1, 2017. Even if it was filed on September 1, 2017, you cannot file. Anything before that date is only when you can file. Now, if you have a married child of a US citizen, you had to have filed before March 1st of 2010. So that means if you just filed now, your waiting time is like 13 years for a married child of a US citizen. Just to show you what we're looking at, and this chart that I'm showing you on my screen is only for people inside US who have a way to file in these categories, which is very difficult. Most people don't have a way to file. If you are waiting this long, how can you be in status for 13 years and green card after all this time? I mean, like a student for 13 years, it's impossible. So anyway, this is what you should be looking at if you're interested in this visa bulletin dates and the waiting lists in each category. Okay, let's come back to the regular screen here. And guys watching me on Instagram, if you want to watch me and see the screen like this, take a look at my YouTube profile. I have longer videos there, and you can find my stuff where I post every week, and you can see the shorts there. It's a little more that you can see with like my screen sharing during classes. Or the opposite, if you want some really cool shorter posts, more stories, more pictures, take a look for people watching me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm sorry, Facebook and YouTube. Find me on Instagram, Shepelsky Attorney. All right, let's get back to other news. I'm tired of this depressing visa bulletin for September 2023. Let's move on. Interesting that there's two class action lawsuits now filed about the CBP1 app that people are using at the border to file for asylum. Now, a couple of organizations that are for immigrants' rights, got together with, I think, 9 other individual plaintiffs and filed a federal lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security for using the CBP1 app, the smartphone app, during the asylum process. They're saying that the people who sued, the individual plaintiffs, sought asylum, asked for asylum at the U.S. Mexico border, but were turned away by U.S. immigration officials for not making appointments through the app. Many immigration advocates speaking out against the app, saying it discriminates against women and people of color, especially because not everyone has the phone. Not everybody understands they have to use the phone, how to use the app, or knows use all this technology. Also, there's really bad privacy and accessibility concerns. Accessibility talks about the fact that it's very glitchy. So even using it, you're going to be in trouble and you might not be able to use it correctly. So there's a lawsuit about that. And from a couple of years ago, there's still a pending lawsuit about the same app talking about, hey, all this data collected through CBP1, your face recognition stuff, the GPS tracking stuff, is also in violation, but just like this lawsuit says, of privacy and confidentiality laws of the United States, and potentially the government can track immigrants anywhere in the United States with the face recognition technology. So, we'll see what happens. All right. The new Canadian work permit program that was really created only a couple of months ago, where they said, look, we, Canada, will take your American H-1B holders who are now out of work or want to leave their jobs and just cross the border. We're right next to you to Canada. We speak English. We're similar to America. Come work for us in Canada if you have an H-1B visa. That means these are people in the IT, technologies, engineering industry who already were vetted. Their experience was checked by the US government, who were already background checked, and all their experience, all their job qualifications were already checked out by the US government. And the Canadians said, look, with all these layoffs, we will take you. Come to Canada. So that new work permit program that was supposed to be is still for 3 years of working legally in Canada with any employer reached its maximum number of applications in just 48 hours. Today, the program is shut down because they got enough applicants. The open work permit, valid for up to 3 years, allows current active H-1B holders to work for any employer in Canada, as I mentioned, and the new program grew in popularity fast given recent rounds of technical layoffs, IT layoffs in US. Um, Hundreds of immigrants and advocates set out on a 40-mile march to protest the delays about passing some kind of an amnesty. They specifically want immigration reform called the registry bill that could allow up to 8 million or more, 8 million undocumented immigrants in US to register if they're in US over 5 years, no crimes, nothing, problematic in their background, get a work permit, and then a green card. So we will see how that goes, but people are actually starting to take to the streets to protest. And finally, New York City is being overwhelmed by the new migrants. And the New York City Mayor Eric Adams called on the federal government to really significantly increase New York City's funding to help New York City support the tens of thousands of migrants who arrived in recent months. There's now lines around the corner next to the Roosevelt Hotel and some other hotels that are giving housing to migrants. And our Mayor Eric Adams said, if we don't get the support we need from the federal government, New Yorkers could be left with a $12 billion bill. He did this during a recent speech. So that's all really the news that I wanted to talk about today. As you probably heard, President Trump was now indicted on new charges in the state of Georgia. And these charges are like crime for conspiring with other people, politicians, to falsely contest the election results and trying to force them to find more votes in the states when there weren't any more votes. So We'll see how this develops. He's got a lot going on. Different states are charging him. Federal government is charging him. They're really, really trying to prevent him from becoming the next president or even running for presidency. We'll see how that develops. Imran Khan says, hello, dear. On Instagram, good morning, miss, from Aman Singh on Instagram. So happy to see more new followers here watching us. Thank you for commenting. Um, okay, I'm going to get to the questions in a minute. Okay, so let's get to the questions. I see some already on YouTube. Uh, Subash Bimali says, hi, when is the Dignity Act becoming a law? We don't know yet, unfortunately. Sadly, I don't know yet about the new Dignity Act. Kursoon Dadoshi says, if married to a permanent resident and that person has a 10-year permanent green card in USA, can I get a green card permit to travel back? Kursoon, it depends on your status. If you're now a student visa holder, an L1, an H1 holder, or even if you just came with a tourist visa and you're still in status, yes, you can file through the marriage to a green card holder for the green card, the work permit, and travel document. Because if you remember in the beginning of the show, I showed you the adjustment of status, the green card chart, and it says if you're married to US green card holder, you're able to file for all this right away. If you're out of status, you have to wait for that coming. Mark says, good morning, Marina. Hi, Julie's vlog. How are you? Happy Life says, good morning, ma'am. I have a question regarding asylum interview dates. If someone filed in 2017 for asylum, when will they get an interview date as per your knowledge? Thank you. I don't know, but you've been waiting, it sounds like, over 5 years. If you've been waiting for an asylum interview, nothing happening for over 5 years, and you're just sick of waiting, give us a call. We're starting to file writ of mandamus actions, special lawsuits against USCIS for making you wait that long. It's not reasonable for somebody asking for asylum to sit there for 5 years or more. If you're waiting more, that works too, to wait to be scheduled for an interview. It's just not right. Keto TV says, hi, Marina. How is it going? They sent me my work permit through VAWA package, but no prima facie. Is that okay? It's fine. It usually means that like they didn't get whatever documents that initially were submitted to them. Like there wasn't enough to get the prima facie. It doesn't mean you're not eligible or won't win VAWA. So don't worry about it. Also, your lawyer can request this prima facie by emailing the hotline email. Hyena gun down scratch my wife's petition, which I have one years. It expired since 2017 because of my father-in-law being sick from cancer, and he later died. I don't understand the question exactly. If you had a family petition that's expired in 2017, but you're still like married and the relationship is there, we can update it and bring it up to date probably by filing a form called I-824. But I'm not 100% sure. I recommend you schedule a consultation with us. My phone number, if you're inside US, is 718-769-6352. We have a WhatsApp number. You can text WhatsApp 718-679-3131. Stephen Jen says, can an asylum applicant in immigration court apply for advanced parole? Absolutely not. And spouse also not. Can the spouse of the asylum applicant in immigration court get approved for advanced parole if they're not in the asylum case? If they're in your court case, nobody can travel who's got the court case. Sam Sundar says, I'm taking psychiatric medicine. I'm willing to live in Manhattan alone, pay rent and bills. If I apply for VAWA in New York City, Manhattan is my home, How long will it take to get a work permit? It will take you about 1 year when waiting for VAWA to get the work permit. 1 year. All right, let's see Instagram. I have some questions on Instagram. Um, 786 Shaikh Saeed says, I have 4 years IT experience from India. What are my options if I can move to US? If you found a sponsor, a company to hire you, then you have good chances of coming here with a work visa or even a green card. But if you have a master's degree and your projects in India were like really unusual, unique, very interesting, very high level, we can even get you a self-sponsored green card. Give us a call. You can email me. I'm going to write here on Instagram my email account. It's shepelskylord@gmail.com. You can email there if you want a consultation or text us at WhatsApp 718-679-3131. We do paid consults only. So if you want to think about your strategy, it's a paid consultation. Um, Looking at some questions. Faisal Mahmoud, nice conversation. Thank you so much. Um, Fatima, Saeed, Amara says, hi, this is Amara from Pakistan. I want to shift to the US. Can you guide me? I want asylum. So if you live outside of US and you want to come here with asylum, first thing you should do is gather your paperwork to prove that you are in a protected group. For example, you express political opinion, or if you're a woman from Pakistan and you're being forced to do things that are, ultra religious, conservative, and doing this against your will, you could ask for asylum as part of your religious persecution, as a social group, being a woman, this category. But you need to prove this on paper, right? Second of all, if you were persecuted, again, you would need to use proofs or any documents or anything that shows that you were abused in your country. Bring all that, come to the US border with Canada or Mexico, right? Make sure that you don't stay in any other country for like more than a few hours. You come straight to the US border and you get a Mexican smartphone or Mexican SIM card for your phone and apply for asylum by downloading the CBP1 app that I discussed earlier. CBP1 app. You can only use it in Mexico to apply for asylum. And you will get an appointment. They will speak to you, and either they will let you in and start your court proceedings for asylum, or they will give you parole. But once you're inside here, talk to us. We can help you file for asylum. And of course, you will need a sponsor, a guarantor, to bring you here with their phone number and address and email to make sure that you will get all your paperwork once you're here. Anthony Stannett says, hi, Marina. My I-360 was approved in May. I'm a religious worker. My employer filed for the next stage, but USCIS returned the form saying I'll have to wait until EB4 becomes current. I don't know what's going on, but I would speak to a lawyer. We can do a consultation. I would have to take a look at everything. My phone number is 718-769-6352. Something is wrong with this picture. Anthony Stennis says, what can be done to stay in status? You will have to keep working for the same employer to stay in status. Tammy Raya says, good morning, ma'am. Please, are you able to disclose how much you charge for a VAWA case? Thank you. It depends, right? So we always start with a consultation. I can tell you my consultation is $395, and the lawyers in our office, the other people, their information is I'm sorry, yeah, 295, and for a short consultation, even 195. Then we see if we will represent you, and then the prices are different. Sometimes it's VAWA with adjustment of status. Sometimes it's VAWA plus adjustment of status plus FOIA plus a motion to reopen. It's hard for me to quote. Sweet Mo 85 says, hi, my mom passed away on Friday. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I have an adjustment of status package pending. Can I apply for an emergency travel document? If you already filed for advance parole, you can call the USAS free number and request an info pass appointment for an emergency advance parole. Uh, Usually, yes, they will let you do it on an emergency basis. They will schedule an appointment for you, and you're going to have to come in and prove that this happened with a death certificate. And it still will take a week or two. It's not going to be overnight. If you never filed, again, you might want to file as an emergency advance parole and see where that goes. Finish Line Builders MV says, I have a VAWA approved. I sent in I-485 and did the interview. Now waiting for the I-601A, which is strange because the VAWA doesn't need an I-601A. I guess it's just 601. Oh, because I was deported one time in 2002. Is it safe to travel with advanced parole? I would not travel with advanced parole if you have a prior deportation. They might just turn you away. Um, Anthony says, okay, thank you, Marina. Oh, Sweet Mo says, the one whose mom died. No, I didn't file for advance parole. You're probably going to have to file now, wait to get the receipt, and then ask to do an emergency one and expedite it. All right, back to YouTube questions. Aina wants to know, well, so that I can be able to apply for non-immigrant tourist visa. I was in US in 2015. Not sure. Joseph says, good morning, my beautiful lawyer. Good morning, Joseph. Thank you for always watching. Stephen Jin says, can an overstayed person in US get a green card through I-140, for example, national interest waiver or EB2? If so, how? Very rarely. Usually, no. An overstayed person cannot get a work green card because you have to be in status the entire time while you're waiting for the decision on the I-140 and until you can file the I-485, which now has shifted with the waiting lines for the visa bulletin. Okay. My friend Michael is watching. Mishka Kasalapa, he says super helpful. Thank you so much, Marina. Thank you from Facebook. Thank you so much. Herman Wambo says, good morning, Marina. I applied for asylum in February 2016. Until today, I haven't had my interview scheduled yet. Another person waiting for asylum over 5 years. On February 2nd, I filed for an expedite. It was approved the same day, but until today, I still don't have my asylum. You have to just wait. He says, I contacted my representative, like a congresswoman or senator, and told them what's going on, asked for help, and in response, they told me I have to wait. What can I do? Thanks. The only thing to do is to file the lawsuit, as I mentioned. If you'd like, we can help you by filing the writ of mandamus, which will force them to schedule you for an interview. But after that, you might have to wait again for years and years. So the only thing that we could expedite is the interview scheduling itself. Joseph Tomitopi says, if someone married a U.S. citizen and waits for 2 years before filing, is it a problem? No, it's not a problem. You can wait as long as you want. Nadia says, I need to file for cancellation removal with asylum first to get into removal. What's the first thing you need to do? You fill out the form I-589. You put together the basic ID documents, your passport, your birth certificate, your divorces for every family member, marriage certificates, all of that, and you file for asylum. Michael asks on YouTube, with the increased immigration to New York you mentioned, is New Jersey or Connecticut a better state for immigration to settle? Yes, because the lines to even get a regular green card interview inside are much less for New Jersey and Connecticut than in New York. So yes, those states are a little more comfortable for settling in for new immigrants. But listen, New York always gets things done too, And yes, the line to get into is a bit longer, but for some people like who are filing for asylum, for example, New York is much better than Connecticut or New Jersey. Asylum, you have a bigger chance to get through the courts in New York. App Kim said, adjustment of status by married U.S. citizen. I need to go back to the home country because my father passed away. I overstayed more than 3 years. Is it impossible to come back by use of advance parole? If you don't have removal proceedings, you've never been deported, you don't have crimes, you are safe to use your advance parole. I know a lot of people overstay, and also people that even come with a visa, passport, blah, blah. If you have the advance parole, you've never been deported, you don't have crimes, you don't have deportation right now, you can go and come back with advance parole. Um, DTPK says, hello, will I get a visa if somebody stole money from my account? Probably not. But if you help the government by testifying, by cooperating through, police or the government or the district attorney, you could get a U visa for witnesses and victims of crimes. Stephanie says, are there any updates, or Stephanie, sorry, for the Dignity Act? None that are in the news. Augustine Akinua says, can USCIS send my marriage case to Vermont or Center? I mean, I guess so, but right now they're not really handling marriage cases through Vermont. It's going through other service centers. Joseph Tamitopi says, if somebody married, oh, we did this before. Sophia says, also a quick question. I'm under DACA, but as a young child, me and my family immigrated illegally. Is it possible that I apply for a green card? If you have DACA and you marry a U.S. citizen, you can apply if you came with a visa. Um, Santosh Kumar says, can a U visa applicant also get TPS status? Absolutely. You can have both. Okay, we answered this. Sire says, hello, is my son still eligible to be a derivative of my VAWA petition based on my U.S. citizen husband if I married him after my son's 18th birthday, but filed before his 21st birthday? Yes. Not only that, I think your son can probably file, this is what we usually do, his separate petition. It can be included in yours, and I would recommend that your son file a separate petition for himself as a stepchild used by the U.S. citizen husband. Uh, Amy, Amy Owls or Amy says, good morning, Marina. Can a judge or the state attorney who are in charge of the case sign the Form I-919 Supplement B for you visa? Thank you. Uh, I guess they can. Usually it gets done by the state attorney. And somebody in their office, like a supervisor, signs it. Juliana June, my marriage duration is 1 year and I overstayed 2 years. Can I file for I-360 and I-485 concurrently? My husband didn't file for marriage with green card and threatened me about my immigration status. Um, I mean, I think that if we talk to you, maybe we could find some other basis for abuse. And yeah, I think you can file. I recommend you schedule a consultation with us, 718-769-6352. Am Abdul says, hello, do people who receive asylee status face the same asylum type of interview during citizenship interview? Thank you. No, no, they won't question you the same way at the citizenship interview as they question you at the asylum interview. But it might come up, for example, if you went back and traveled to your home country, it might come up. And Amy says, thank you. By the way, now, people always ask me about travel with advance parole. Let's talk about travel with advance parole. If you have filed for asylum And then you got TPS, or you had TPS, you filed for something, or like a marriage case, right? Now you have your advance parole. Let's talk about travel, right? I'm so not worried about you traveling after overstaying because TPS will cover you. And if you have advance parole, that means they approved you even though you overstayed. Who shouldn't travel? If you are in removal proceedings now, maybe you had advance parole, but it's already like a year old, and between then and now, you're now in open removal. You should not travel. If you've ever been deported before and came back, you should not travel. If you have crimes, arrests, convictions, you should not travel, even if you hold the advance parole in your hand. It's not going to be safe for you to travel. Also, if you filed for asylum and then you get married, what happens usually is to keep the asylum case alive while the marriage case gets processed. You have an open asylum case. I don't want you to use your advance parole to go visit your home country because now you look like a liar and you don't look credible. Technically, the reason we don't close the asylum case is really not because now you want to use the asylum case. I know that you want to use like your marriage case, for example, right? But you said once to the government that you were afraid to return. And at the time, hopefully you were honest. Now that you have that advance parole, go back to your country makes you look like you're a liar. And I want to keep the case open. Now, if you say to me, I feel safe now, I want to travel, let's withdraw, let's close out the asylum case, that's doable. But the asylum office will look at the fact that you overstayed your visa. Now you withdraw the asylum application. All this time you were here, it's like you were illegal here and they will send you to immigration court, whether you like it or not, and even if you have a pending adjustment of status case for marriage. So the lesson here, guys, is that please don't travel with your advance parole to your home country if you have an asylum case. Now, people ask me, like, I had a guy when I explained this in my office to him yesterday, and he says, well, when can I go back to my home country? And I said, when you have your US passport, okay? If you file for asylum, travel back with advance parole or even a green card, is not going to look good on you. Okay? Stephen says, is there waiting time for I-140 and 485 if nonprofit companies sponsor a green card? I think so. I think so. Yeah, the I-35, you still have to wait for the visa to be available. Simone says, when can a minor from a foreign country with a B1, B2 tourist visa get enrolled in school in US? What's the time? Look, if you enroll your child in school, that means you're residing in US. That is a violation of your tourist status. People who visit US, a B1, B2 visa is a visiting visa. You come for a visit. You don't go to school in the country that you're visiting because that's evidence of residence. A person who resides here is not a visitor, they're a resident. And then you violated your B1, B2 visa. Um, okay, let's see more questions on Instagram. Um, US Magan says that I'm not responding to his messages. I don't have to respond to all the messages. I choose the messages that I will respond to. I don't reply to anybody who says I'm looking for a job. Or, can you help me get a visa without anything specific? Um, D Boy Yoti 90077 says, how can international people start a startup on H1B visa? I mean, forming your own business separate from your H-1B employment is not a violation so much of your visa, but working there, like getting a W-2, getting a 1099 from that business would be a violation, I think. Okay, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap up for today. We spent 45 minutes together almost. and I covered the news. I responded to some of your questions. I would be happy to do a consultation with you, either myself or a team member, another lawyer. Some people pay a little less and they get a screening appointment with a paralegal in their office. We have a really good team for you guys, ready to help you. Give us a call for a consultation. If you're inside US, 718-769-6352. Joseph wants to know when I can help him, my beautiful lawyer, he says. He's in Maryland. I would be happy to help you if you call for a consultation, Joseph, and we will finally meet. Amy says, thank you very much and have a wonderful day. I want to wish the same thing to you, Amy, and everyone else watching. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. I might be traveling next week and probably will not see you next week. I need to get a little energy. And next week, we will probably not see each other, but I will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for your time, for watching us, for listening to me, and for always being loyal. I really thank you and appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Bye bye.